Hello, good evening, and welcome to the show. This is The Couch. My name is Pratt. This is Pan-African TV, and we are right here, in Abelingbe. We are broadcasting to over 44 countries, across the continent. So many other countries, so many more across the globe due to RCS. Lovely Tuesday evening. You know that on Tuesdays we have, our social issue conversations, our lifestyle issue conversations. It's been a while. We brought in our lawyer, our coach, to have those meaningful conversations that are necessary for personal growth, and I call it community growth, if that makes any sense. Well, today he's back. And tonight our conversation is on harnessing the various multi-dimensions of intelligence. Good stuff, right? Great stuff. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this commercial break. Welcome back to the show. We have been joined, by lawyer, our coach, D. Theodore. All right.
Good evening and welcome to my show.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's so wonderful to be back.
It's great to have you back.
It's been too long.
Yes. You've been traveling.
Yes, I have been traveling.
Oh, wow.
But I'm back now. So, yeah, I'm really delighted to be back here this evening. And let's see how things go.
I know that things are going to go absolutely awesome.
Yes.
No doubt in my mind.
Super.
So, harnessing the various multi-dimensions of intelligence.
Yeah.
I want us to break down the multi-dimensions of intelligence first.
Yes.
Then we can come to how we can harness.
Yeah.
So, let's start from there. What are the multi-dimensions of intelligence?
IQ, or the test itself, is rooted in a particular cultural mindset. Okay. And not only is it cultural. Now, if you can imagine somebody who lives in the Amazon jungle, who by his or her wit, the jaguar and the crocodile, are you saying to me that such a person, because they fail an IQ test, lacks intelligence? And so Howard Gardner, an academic, after some research, came out and said, look, I don't think the intelligence quotient captures all the intelligences that exist. And then he came out with a whole battery of intelligences. So he says IQ. He says we have mathematical intelligence or logical intelligence that will be captured by IQ. But intrapersonal skills caught by your traditional IQ, nor is interpersonal, which we would call EQ, which is emotional intelligence. And then kinesthetic intelligence, where you're more tactile than verbal, reasoning, and mathematical. So he came up with a whole battery of different dimensions to intelligence and said we should not isolate intelligence to just logical reasoning and mathematical ability. And there is this apocryphal saying that if you ask a fish to ride a bicycle, it would appear stupid. But if you put the fish in water, it will become brilliant. So contextually, IQ does not address all contexts across board. And we now need to look for a variety of intelligences if we are going to measure a person's intelligence.
Absolutely. The beauty of what you say, for me, reflects right now today. The world in which we exist today, you need that multiplicity of intelligence to be able to flourish.
Indeed, yes.
So to speak. So, for instance, at the layman's, level, that would be me. At my level, we normally say, oh, there's book knowledge.
Yes.
And then there's just common sense.
Yes.
Right? But it's broader than that. There's so much more. There's so much more. For instance, I think a couple of years back, in one of our Basima summits, we had the HR director of one of these huge multinational companies, explain about the things they look out for in employing presently. That in the past, it just used to be appearing in a suit.
Yes.
And having an awesome CV where your certification says first class in that, second class in that.
Indeed.
That. But he said, it's moved away from that. Now they want to look at the things that, all the other things you speak about,
kinesthetic, logical, interpersonal, intrapersonal.
Right. Your ability to work in a team.
Yes,
your
indeed.
ability to,
self-motivate. Yeah, self-motivate. Yeah.
Right. Your ability to, attitude.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That will form under one of these things.
Yeah.
So, presently, it's not enough to say, I got a first class. You need to show that you are a full, rounded human being.
Yes, indeed.
With all the other, intelligences that exist. So, then, hence this conversation.
Absolutely. And let me share a story with you. So,
right.
I had some engagement with a friend, and I was speaking by analogy, and this friend is fairly clever, but mathematically clever, and therefore missed the fact that I was communicating by analogy and took the analogy literally. Okay, so you can be very clever mathematically and not be able to get metaphors and analogies and typologies, and that is a shame. And then you have people who are very street wise. They may not have book knowledge per se, but you put them on the street and they can hustle their way almost anywhere because they have the ability to engage and direct their lives. And you might put a intellectually book smart, i.e. mathematical and verbal reasoning genius on the streets of Ghana and them not be able to find their way. So it is important that we come to a position where we are able to identify the different types of intelligence and then feed and grow those intelligences in the respective individuals.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's why you could meet somebody who is so smart and yet can't seem to fit into any kind of, it's so awkward, it's so socially awkward and all.
Yes.
But let's come to the word harness. This multi-dimensions of intelligence. I don't know how we should. So first of all, can you give us perhaps some tips on being, so that we can identify the various types they are to start with.
Yeah.
Then we can come to each one and how you can sort of milk
Yeah.
that side as well. So generally, as a human being, I'm guessing not everybody that's watching the show is at a level of comprehension,
Yeah.
and they can, even if they haven't done in the past, can from now start to have a presence of mind. How are you aware, or how are you in tune to all the various dimensions of intelligence they are, and how do you position yourself such that you can tap into all of them?
Okay. The starting point is that every ability or trait or skill or knowledge can be elevated into an art form. Every ability. So whether it's cooking, whether it's dancing, whether it's drumming, whether it's speaking, it can be elevated into an art form. And therefore we should not cut short all of those avenues that come to us as individuals. That is the first thing. The second thing is that when I was growing up, anytime there was an engagement and I felt that I could contribute as a child, and I put my hand up and say, meaning, that became an issue. We are too known. So we stifle genius by those words. We are too known. We are minim, too much. So while other nations celebrate child prodigies and geniuses, we submerge them and suffuse them and suffocate them. And so that expression, whether it be in conversation, whether it be in music, whether it be in dance, whether it be in engaging, we cut it off. And so my plea to parents and to individuals and to teachers is to encourage every avenue of expression. Every avenue. Whether the person is funny, jokey, if the person is loud in class, it means they're an extrovert. And so why do you say you want to write down names of talkatives? The person has a talking ability. And let me share this. Tony Blair, when he left Downing Street in his first year of not being prime minister, earned $18 million from speaking engagements. And you're stifling a child by writing down talkatives. A child who is expressive is trying to tell you something. And so what am I saying? I'm saying every avenue of expression can be elevated into an art form. And we shouldn't wait, excuse me, for the white before we let our children go and play hockey or football or swim or speak or write or dance. All of those are traits that can be elevated. The knowledge that can be elevated is skill that can be elevated.
I love that. So, I mean, what it means is that allow all forms of expression.
Yes.
All forms of expression.
All forms of expression.
Encourage all forms of expression.
Yes.
Okay.
So it could be art. Some people will just stay in the corner and draw cartoons. Hey, that could be the next Disney. All right? Some people will paint. That could be the next Picasso. Some people will rap or rhyme. That could be the next Jay-Z or Fuse ODG. Somebody will be drumming a rhythm. That could be the next Osibisa.
Allow it.
Allow it.
Allow it. But you see, for me, the beauty is that even if it's not the next Fuse ODG, it alerts you that this person is gifted this way.
Yes.
And it's a form of intelligence.
And it's a form of intelligence.
It's a form of intelligence.
Yeah.
It's a form of intelligence. Okay. So now I want us to pick them one after the other. Let's start with musical intelligence.
Yeah.
I mean, when we think musical intelligence, like I'm saying, we are thinking fused ODD.
Yeah.
Is that all there is to it? Somebody that can sing or drum, or is that all there is?
No, I mean, music has a structure, and music has a style, and music is mathematical in nature. And so there's rhythm, and there is a beat, and there is inquiry, and there's curiosity. All of that fuses together to give you music. Remember, music is as much the noise you make as much as the silences between the notes.
Ooh, I like that.
Yes.
Right.
Do. Without the silences, you will not have any rhythmic structure. Okay. And you can draw it from anywhere. And by the way, children in vitro can hear sound. So you can begin to develop your child in vitro by introducing them to music that you like. And then it creates a structure in their heads, their minds, their brains. And so just as people are engineeringly minded, so people are musically minded. And the range is playing an instrument, composing, rapping, poetry. In fact, sometimes the musicality comes not in poetry, but in prose. So you can read words and find music in words. And you can find music in shapes. I'm being very abstract here. And you can find music in the way that the bird, glides on the thermals. And you can see music in when the wind blows and the way the palm trees just bend in the breeze. All of that is music. It's by the sway of her hips. It's by the hissing of her and it's by the way she flutters her eyelashes. All of that has rhythm and a beat and music to it.
And it's so crucial to life, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Absolutely crucial to life, because what's an existence, if it's all the tangibles, right?
Yeah.
What sad existence would that be if you can't appreciate the things you can't?
And the beauty of music is that you have a cacophony, you have this mixture of sound soup, which then is able to stir emotion in you.
Once you got emotion, let's bring it interpersonal.
Yeah.
Interpersonal. For me, the hardest part of that is, of course, that self-awareness, self-reflection, because that's where it starts.
Yes.
For yourself.
Yes.
But throw in motherhood, and it's compounded. Because is the first point for a child, isn't it? The home.
Yes.
Things like empathy.
Yes.
And what's the other one I'm looking for? Maybe socializing. How do you impart that? I don't know if I'm making...
Yeah, you do. You do. So remember, we're about 30% nurture, 50% environment, or what we do for our 30% nurture, I beg your pardon, 50% nurture, what we do, and 50% nature. And of that 50% nurture, about 20% is culture, socialization, and 30% will be the choices we make. Now, if you create an environment which is colorful and loud and musical and allows the child to inquire and be curious, that child will grow up being a curious child, by and large, because of nature. If you're restrictive and jai, menkoha, do this, do that, that child will internalize that, and that is how they will come across. So we as parents, and indeed as individuals, need to be very intentional about the environment we create. You know, when Obroni man has children, they give them toys, playthings, because play is the way by which the child is able to express themselves, okay, and find meaning in their environment. We, unless you're middle class or upper class, tip in terms of the environment, and that starvation is only sated when the child goes to nursery. And that's why when you go to nursery, there are numbers all over the place, colors all over the place, because that is supposed to stimulate imagination and curiosity. But we can do it in the home. We can do it in the home. And so typically a child's bedroom is all color, all shapes, all noises, you know, so that the child can get used to a variety of triggers, a variety of influences coming in.
I'm staying on empathy, and I'll give a classic example. So this is about play.
Yeah.
You know, I'm observing a bunch of kids, you know, age, let's say 7 to 3, playing with water guns, and they are playing armed robbery, the armed robber and the policeman, and you know, and somehow they turn the play to me, and instantly I sort of flip it around. So I'm like, I'm supposed to be attacked, you know, by one of them, and the other one is a policeman, and all of that. And I start, you know, pretending to cry. I'm an old woman. I'm sick. I'm in my house, and you guys are here trying to rob me, and you know. And instantly I see the shifts. Instantly. I've ruined the game. Because these kids are, you know, oh, we are sorry, take the gun. If somebody comes, use the gun to, you know,
shook his eye.
Report us, call the police, report us. Right? And in the moment I'm thinking about all of this, and I'm thinking, surely I can see the positives. These kids, they have feelings, they are empathic, which is a great thing. But there are parents who insist that you overdo that and you create misfits who are not ready for the world. Like this world is about to swallow them whole, you know, because they need to grow some backbone and they need to. How do you navigate that? That really is, you know, because interpersonal intelligence is about that. It's about an appreciation of self, but it's also an appreciation of others, and your ability to navigate those fine lines. Am I overthinking?
No, you're not overthinking. You're right. So starting point, remember, is that we are, first of all, we act by instinct and reflex. Then on a major scale, we are emotional before we become rational. Okay? We are emotional before we become rational. So initially, it'll be reflex action. But after that, we are emotional and then rational. And the world is hard enough. So you do not need to overcreate the harshness of the world, because we will all meet it. But you can socialize the child by what you say and what you do, and create space for the child to be themselves. Because if the child is other than themselves, then they will be acting suboptimally. Okay, and when I say any other than themselves, remember that we have traits and we have personality types, and those personality types feed into how we will react on a given day and in a given situation. Truth be told, at 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 7, it's very difficult to assess what sort of personality type that person will eventually end up being. Needless to say, we can grow into and out of our personality types with emotional intelligence and self-awareness. But confidence in the home allows the child to be. Confidence in the home is important. So where the child lacks confidence in the home, they won't find confidence anywhere else, because the home is supposed to be their safe haven. So create a safe haven, yes. You can experiment from time to time, yes, but the child or the individual must know that this is their safe haven. It's like the child running to mommy or the child running to daddy.
Right. How about the big one, socializing? Even, I mean, I still struggle with that.
Okay.
You know, I've said this before, and it didn't go down too well. There are circumstances in which I dread networking.
Okay. All right.
How do you, as a person, even as a full adult, harness, you know, that intelligence so that you can flourish in social settings, you can socialize, you know, to the best of your and I see you smile because you are just excellent at it.
I wish I were. You know, I know somebody who is far better at it than I am. You know, my creative director, Johnny Taylor.
Oh, yeah.
He is ace.
Right.
Ace. You know, I watch him, I envy him, in quotes, because he is relentless in his ability to network. But that is also a skill that we learn. And the key to networking really is to let the other person talk. Some people are reticent when it comes to being able to talk. But if you inquire of the other person, tell me about yourself. So normally my opening conversation, apart from name and what you do, is what do you do for fun? Because clearly this is an avenue that you enjoy. And then we go on that journey on what you do for fun. And that allows you to, you know, travel with that individual or those individuals.
So what I'm picking from this is that then you sort of it's like a ball, but you give it back.
Oh, all the time.
You give it.
All the time.
You give it.
You know, you pass the ball back to the other person, and you let the other person talk like you're making me do now. You let the other person talk. And if the person is a talker, bloody hell, they'll talk all day and all night. And if the person is not a talker, you can corner them in their area of love. So some people love to bake. Oh, they'll tell you about the different icings, the different types of biscuits, scones, cakes, breads. They can, you know, and you can go on a journey on that. Some people like to write. Some people like to sleep. Even that, you know, why do you sleep? How do you sleep? When do you sleep? What do you do when you're sleeping? Do you read? Is it cold? Is it warm? You know, what's the best sleep you've ever had? You said you can have a whole conversation, right. You know, and it shouldn't be a monologue.
Right. There's a question though, and quick question, then we come back. What would you say would be the main difference between interpersonal and intrapersonal? Because I heard you say
both. Yeah. So interpersonal is you and I. intrapersonal is self-awareness. And some people are so self-aware, they're able to assess that being present at every given opportunity, being mindful at every given opportunity, and beyond that, noticing the effects they have on other people.
That's a superpower.
Yes.
How do I get there? How do I get to the point where I'm in the moment every minute of my 24 hours a day? How do I do that? Because the moments I'm just going to forget myself. The moments I'm going to chill. How are you in the moment, present for every mundane? And life has so many mundanes, like eating, like sleeping. Like when you said the best sleep, I'm like, the best sleep. Who thinks about sleep? Right? How do you harness your power such that you are present through it all?
3 things you can do. The first thing is you can carry worry beads, like rosary, and when you have those around you and you're flipping them, it makes you know that you're present. You've got something cold in your hand, or it could be some other object. The second thing you can do is just put your thumbs here on your finger and just squeeze. And at every stage, you know you're alive. Just that. And if you do that frequently enough, you'll be present right here. The third thing, which is critical, is reflection and journaling. Because that allows you to relive the moments. And those moments you love, you can live them again and again because you can play a positive video in your head. So you had a wonderful dinner. You know, you can think about the dinner, you can think about the food, the mood, the drinks, the people, the company, and it allows you to relive the whole engagement. Means you're present.
Absolutely.
So being self-aware can be an intentional objective on your part, simply by having your thumbs on your fingers like this and sitting there like that.
Absolutely. And often when I bring up this, you know, there are people who look at me, I kid you not, a bit funny, and they don't seem to get why it's so important.
Yeah.
You know, this is about living in the moment and being present in the moment. It's everything. It's the difference between, you know, how do I even say this? The difference between, so we say that life is about moments, isn't it? It's the difference between saying A or saying B, when saying A could completely change your life and saying B would let you stay, I don't know, like in the moment you're having an argument with your neighbor. It's in the realizing that this is a moment. This is not just another day, another annoyance, another, you know, it's realizing that this one is special. That can either make you say something that could change your relationship forever, or say something that could, you know, keep the status quo, perhaps of you being at loggerheads for life, or, you know, it's in making every moment life altering.
Yeah.
Right.
So, our lives, the greatest tragedy known to man is that we celebrate our birthdays once a year. So we wait 365 or sometimes 366 days before we become cognizant that we are human beings and we are growing. But when you disaggregate the year, you have quarters, and you have months, and you have weeks, and you have days, and you have hours, and you have minutes, and you have seconds, and you have degrees. The greater you are able to harness each of the minutes and the hours, the more fruitful your life will be, because you will be living slice by slice of every moment of your life. Most of us will only get 100 years, which is 876,000 hours. Can you imagine that you only focus once a year out of the 876 hours? It means in total you are spending 2,400 hours. That's all. Out of the 876,000 hours being present.
Right.
So our lives consist of seconds, minutes, hours, days, and years. And it is by taking hold and being present of the minutes and the hours that we make our life count.
I was having a conversation with the Palestinian ambassador to Ghana.
Yeah.
And he was explaining to me that, when they first got to Ghana, he took his family to the beach. And at the beach, they sort of bought fish, live, fresh fish, directly pointed, give it to them. They took the fish home and, prepared the fish, cooked the fish, and they ate. And as he was saying this to me, he was getting so emotional, right? About what a joy that experience was and the beauty of that experience. And, Ghana girl, I was just looking at him like, okay, so you went to the beach and you bought fish and you cooked fish. But then when he put it in context for me and explained to me life as he knew it from his home, and what this war means, what it means to wake up every day and live and exist, and how nature is such a joy. I just realized that perhaps that's a whole what's the word I'm looking for, that we just take for granted, right?
Yes.
And as I for this topic, as I googled the multi-dimensions of it, I realized that there was also just
nature, yeah,
as a whole.
Yeah, being intelligent about nature
trees,
is one. Yeah.
Water.
Yes.
The environment.
Environment, yes. Yeah. Yes. And you see, when you tailor form of intelligence, it means you do away with all the other intelligences. So like I said, the man in the Amazon jungle who has intelligence about nature, which tree is good, which leaf is good, which herb will cure you, his or her intelligence is completely valueless unless we open the gates and we say there are multiple intelligences. So when you look at some of our symbols, Sankofa, there was wisdom in there. When my mother comes up with these old tree proverbs, it's replete with wisdom. We're not stupid. Ghanaian songs in Tree or Ga, and we are applauding. I'm thinking, all 33 million of us speak English. We ought to be applauded. Yes, the language is a currency of exchange, granted. But that does not devalue the carver's ability to carve. the farmer's ability to farm, the dancer's ability to dance, the singer's ability, that we gave value to all of these things. In fact, in Ghana, it is said that Ghana for Kasa, it seems God has given us a gift, the gift of Barack Obama, who are able to speak eloquently about many things. Aka application, you know. But there you are. That is a gift that we have.
Right. My last question. I see my producer trying to get my attention. Existential intelligence, right? You know what it is. All the great stuff that matters. As against intrapersonal intelligence. And maybe this is how I'm looking at it. If you're able to perhaps link the two, perhaps you could maximize better. Would I be wrong?
So, let me say this, that always seek to optimize your strengths.
Right.
Always.
Your strength. Got it.
Always seek to optimize your strengths. So, I was in a church, and my pastor was very task-oriented. And so, interpersonal skills wasn't his thing. And so, whenever there was an issue, he'd say, Theodore, can you go and sort it out for me, please? Because he knew he didn't have the gift of diplomacy. He didn't have the gift of interpersonal skills. He was able to execute, but he felt he would come across with the wrong tone. So we even had to employ a junior pastor to do all the touchy-feely bits so that he could just focus and execute. And the reason why all of these intelligence are important is because with the different generations, they have different expectations. They have different motivators and drivers. Okay, and so if you're not able to attune to the different intelligences, then you will consign a whole generation to be carpenters or to be lawyers, and the musicians will not be there, and the artists will not be there. In the Bible, it says that there was a gentleman whom Moses called to design the Ark of the Covenant. Why? Because he had a gift. He had intelligence of how to carve and make things beautiful. Okay, and again, being able to identify and harness and enhance these intelligences will mean that all of us, all 33 million of us, will be playing in tune intelligently in terms of whichever intelligence we have been gifted with or we have managed to hone. And then let me come back to say that in seeking to make meaning of our lives, we are best if we harness and we optimize our personal intelligence. Otherwise, we'll be fake other people and not be true to ourselves.
Yourself. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
Always a privilege.
Always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Always a
but we are on. Next week we are back.
Yes,
next week we are back. Next week we are looking at business operations in an uncertain environment, opportunities and strategies. Looking forward to that.
I am looking forward to that. So see you next week.
See you next week. See you next week. Well, viewers, the show is not over. This is one half of the show. The next half of the show, we are taking you to Wisconsin University. You know, they have something to tell us, so go and listen. But thank you so much, lawyer, thinker, coach, Theodore. He's back next week. I love these sessions. I know you do too. So you stay with us for this one, but don't forget to make a date again, you know, for that one. Next week, we'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back from that break. This is still The Couch. My name is still, I'm at the School of Communications within the Wisconsin University. You know that on The Couch, we love all things knowledge, we love all things progress, we love all things development, we love all things maximizing your full potential. This conversation is around that. It's about all the opportunities, you know, of learning, of knowing, of being Wisconsin University offers you through its School of Communications. Welcome. It's great to have you back. Welcome. So, I mean, I have Mr. Kofi Yabua, lecturer, General Secretary of the GJA. My boss is here.
My pleasure.
Welcome, sir.
My
Welcome, sir. We are also joined by Madam Rebecca Wusi-Akumi, also faculty officer for the School of Communication Studies. Hey, you see the way I'm giving you styles. And then we have Mr. Fidel Yamotete, lecturer, exams officer for the School of Communication Studies. Hello.
Once again.
I keep telling you, the ones I feel, the exams officers, those people, they are the ones I fear. So welcome. How is the School of Communications at Wisconsin University doing?
Yeah, the school is doing very well.
Right.
Now, as we speak, we are on vacation. We are resuming sometime in August. But on the whole, we are doing very well. We've been moving from one level to the other. The school as a whole, and then the university as a whole, I should say, and then the School of Communication Studies in particular. We are doing great.
Listen, you took me straight there. So, I mean, I believe as a faculty or as a department, you would have your unique goals and aspirations. You know, the university would have its, you know, own Wisconsin University has set out to do, and what the School of Communications within Wisconsin intends to do.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm sure they will join in. Yes. You know, as a school within a university, like you rightly put it, you must not look too different from what the overall goals and visions are for the university. So for Wisconsin, the focus has been the production of, you know, industry relevant students who are knowledgeable, who are equipped with the professional, you know, attitudes and skills, who are relevant for the kind of challenges that we are faced with as a nation and even beyond. Beyond, because we are an international university, meaning we welcome people from beyond borders of Ghana. You know, so for the School of Communication Studies, drawing from the overall goals and vision of the university, our main focus is to prepare and raise products, who complete their training with us, who are relevant. And when we talk about relevant, we're talking about people with practical skills to show for, not people who may have just what we call probably the head knowledge. You are knowledgeable, but you have nothing productive to show for. People who have practical solutions for practical problems. So I think before this conversation, we're talking even about crisis management, things like that.
I'm going to come there.
It will come there, yes. I will not take that.
It's very important.
I will not take that away.
Yes.
Because I remember the last time we were here.
Right.
You even lamented that sometimes you get people who work with you maybe on internship basis, and though they are coming from some communication training institutions, sometimes when it comes to demonstration of skill, you find them lacking. For Wisconsin International University College, particularly the School of Communication Studies, our priority is mainly about the blend between the classroom knowledge and outside classroom operations. It means that our bases are more of skills development. And I'm sure you may come into the aspect where we talk about facilities and things like that. I don't want to take the wind out of the sail yet, but just to say that because we are more practice-oriented, research-driven, because let's be real, if we're going to solve communication problems in organizations, within government, in our communities, in business, even in legal systems, among so many others, we should be able to have an eye for what problems look like and how scientifically we can resolve them in a meaningful way, in a sustainable way. And so research-driven project-driven, authentic education experiences is what we really focus on, because at the end of the day, if you cannot solve a problem that is lasting with your skills, then we cannot really say you've been educated. And so our focus has been the skill set, hands-on training, whether it's in broadcast journalism, print journalism, even we're talking about crisis communication and things like that, is to give you that experience. And so our focus mainly is that we can't limit ourselves to classroom experiences alone, which I think, if you look at it generally, our educational system seems to be more of the knowledge-based than the skills-based kind of learning approaches. But knowledge is important, theory is important, but we've decided that we should have a marriage between theory
between the two,
and then practical skills.
Between the two. That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm tempted to ask my crisis management question, but I'll hold on to that and come to it later. There's one thing that, often scratch that. I'll come to another question again. I'm playing. My questions are like 120,000 in my mind. I don't know which one to go to. People might be watching this show. We had this conversation the last time. Sometimes practitioners, let's say me myself as I sit here, people who have perhaps are practicing, they're on the field, people who have one degree or the other, who now realize maybe professionally this is where I want to go. What then happens is that we are sort of expected to now rely on the weekend classes and the evening classes and the extras and all of that. And forgive me, but I find that sometimes education in our part of the world is structured to be tough.
Okay.
I don't know why we seem to think that people have to go through it the hard way. I don't know. Please, if I'm watching and I'm tempted to come and enroll with Wisconsin International University College Ghana and come and do this course in communications, and I love everything you said, so that I can come out and be relevant to this community, how does the process itself, the process of acquiring these skills, and how does it look like? Evening classes, weekend classes, how practical is it for a working mother to be able to do this course? Because sometimes thousands of people would come and start, but will not be able to finish, because it's as if the system has been set up against you. People are happy and waiting for you to fail. Let's have this conversation. I've always been meaning to have this conversation. It's so important to me. You go and take a course, it's like you went and take a cares on yourself. You can't even find time to look around you and sit down and relax on, because you have a demanding job.
Yeah.
And then you go and take a course and it's just impossible. How does yours look like?
So
you guys are laughing at me. How does it look like?
Maybe
what are the shadows? What's the time?
Practical nature of it.
Thank you,
and Becky can address other aspects. Right. So as Fidel indicated in his submission, we focus on the practical training of our students. And one thing that sets us apart is how we relate with our students. We are like a family. So it is not a matter of lecturer-student relationship, but we engage our students as our family. So we are not only limiting ourselves to what happens in the classroom, exactly. Sometimes what even happens in your private life, because we have the understanding that your private life or issues can impact on your academic work. Exactly. And so we have that bond, that cordiality with our students. And we engage more on the practical training of the student. There's a course I teach, and I tell them right from the beginning of the course, I'm not interested in the grade you obtain. I'm interested in your practical understanding of the course, because at the end of the day, when you go to the field, you are going to be assessed based on along the line, just so you understand how it is done or how it can be done far from the grade. As for the grade, you can do anything and come and get your grade, and then get to the field and still be empty. So that is the focus we have. And we also have various streams. We have the regular stream, the evening stream, and now we have Becky will talk more about that. Okay. And that makes it very convenient for applicants to choose. But one thing we also expect students or applicants to do is that when you want to enroll, you want to let us appreciate your challenges or whatever you are going through. And once we get to appreciate that, we will find a way of addressing that. Let me cite this instance and wrap it up. I had a student who was working in Accra, and all of a sudden she changed job. She had to go to Takwa. So she had to be coming from Takwa to Accra for lecture, evening students. She managed to complete the course. Wow. Because we found a way of assisting her or managing the kind of challenge she had, so that she was able to complete the course. And it is all because we knew about the challenge she had, and we found a way to address it.
That's so important. You know, so some would say we are marking class attendance. You know, in a class where you have people that work in the evenings, or people that occasionally will get so busy as part of their regular duties, you know, so, and there's no room for conversation. Okay. You know, there's no, I don't know, yeah. People are facing real challenges, you know, trying to acquire education in later life. It's nearly impossible sometimes, you know. And I love what you say about this I. Some people say you just show up in class, everybody sit down, you have failed.
Well, I think one of the things we do more is take home IAs. Like Sophie is saying, yes.
It makes sense.
Because that even means that we expect even more from you, because you have the time to research, go into the depth of what you have been given, and you come up with the best of outcomes. Yes. So, but we've had cases where sometimes you have like a single mother who may not have somebody to leave the child with. Bring the child to class. And sometimes you find a way of managing so the parent is not distracted, but then they can still have, you know, their moments together. Then you mentioned workers. Sometimes, you know, sometimes even if the timetable says lectures starts less, we have developed with our students where we have that relationship is talked about. So it's a matter of rescheduling. If 5 p.m. is not favorable, and we can find a time that is say 6:30 or 7, and we can have our lecture. Once we have that consensus.
Or online.
Yes. Yes, and Wisconsin we do that. We have a hybrid system. So sometimes we go the in-person sessions, and you have the online sessions as well.
You were going to speak to me about your scheduling, you know, what it looks like.
Oh yes. So right since after COVID, we've employed the hybrid system, even for the regular students. So there is a section of the semester where they come for lectures in person, and then at a point in time the lectures are moved online for them. So the same thing applies to even the evening and the weekend sessions. Like Kofi rightly said, it's more like a family. We've developed that open door system. Of course, we wouldn't want to delve into your private matters, but then just let us know what your situation is like, and then we will find a solution for you. So it's all about providing that
communication.
Exactly. The students needs to. I keep telling them that you are pursuing communication, so learn to speak up.
Communicate.
Learn to speak up when you need to do that. You know. Last semester, I have a student who is currently doing weekend. She actually applied to take the evening session. But then on the day she came to register, she was like, this thing cry, I don't know if I would have the time. After work, you get home, these children, she kept lamenting, and you realize that this is something she really wants to do, but then she's finding it difficult to juggle the whole thing. So I advised her, it will be easier for someone to watch your kids for you for 2 days, Saturday, Sunday, rather than from Monday to Friday. So, and that Saturday, Sunday, luckily we don't take up all the time. So you come on Saturday, maybe by 2 you are out of campus. You make sure you do your house chores, you cook, you stock it, you do everything against the week. Sunday you come, you close, you relax, and then you start your week a bit more refreshed. So that in the evenings, rather, when your children go to bed, you can do a little reading here and there, see how you manage your assignments. And then she was like, okay, I didn't consider that option. So she quickly switched to weekend. And so it's been good for her. Later she passed by and she was like, Madam, thank you so much. So it's just about you telling us what the situation is like. Currently, God being so good, we have the Kumasi campus as well. So we have students, like Kofi rightly said, they start in Accra and eventually their work transfers them to Kumasi. You can always join the Kumasi classes, and it is the same curriculum. Nothing changes. So you are still able to graduate and you are still able to go to school. And nothing stops.
That is it. I think I need to add this.
Add it.
Regardless of all these provisions to make the schooling a comfortable process for you to go through, I think that anybody that signs up to take up a certain self-development related initiative should count the cost. These are arrangements, internal arrangements we have made to make the journey easier for people. But you, the individual, you should be able to analyze your own self, because communication, for example, as a trainee, you say it's a discipline. It's a body, it's an organized body of knowledge that counts with certain standards, best practices, and so on. So when you come to school, you are expected to be groomed, not just with the knowledge, but you acquire the discipline that comes with the profession. That may make it a bit more demanding. So psychologically, able to make certain statements to yourself that I'm coming into this place, come prepared. Then our internal arrangement can cater for you as well.
It's a two-way street, isn't it? It's you first, and then the organization. So I mean, if you are ready to sort of adjust your time, forego some things, be ready that in this space of time, this is the, my eye on the prize. Those are sacrifices I need to make. But then there are times you will slip. If there's an institution that is ready to meet you, then it balances beautifully.
Exactly.
So I appreciate that.
Exactly.
That's what. But there's some institutions that are not ready. There's some institutions that want you to fail. I wonder why.
I see there's any glory in that.
I know,
But it's an indictment.
That's what I was about to say.
It's an indictment, because the thing is that someone has paid money for a certain service to be rendered.
The Kumasi campus. Should we expect more campuses across the country? What are the future plans, the goals, for the department? How international is the School of Communications going?
Okay, so we've been discussing even online, strictly online education for some time now, so that even those in other areas that we don't have campuses can join. Of course, usually when we start and we see the number of students we are getting from the region, then it pushes us to set an online option, and then eventually we can have a premises there that people can attend physical classes and all that. And knowing communication, Kumasi campus, the studio is still ongoing. Accra has the state-of-the-art studio. You can't just have a satellite campus and not have these facilities. Otherwise, then the delivery will not be the same. So definitely, even with the online, when you start, at a point in time, you expect students to calm down and have
so embarrassingly, you hear of a corporate end with what has happened, or an entertainer, and then you are wondering, does this person have a team? Does this company have a PR? So, I mean, as people who offer this skill and this knowledge, how are you imbibing crisis management and reputation management in what you are offering us, such that if one of my people has been to Wisconsin International, do and how to deal with the situation?
So I think one of the things that I think usually is missing in terms of how we conceptualize things like crisis management and even think about implementing them in our day in, day out activities is that sometimes we disconnect education that we receive in the universities, I'm getting to a point, from the home. Because at home, you realize that family does everything possible to make sure that the image of the family is protected. When you receive guests from the family that tries to settle these issues, contain it, to make sure that the standards of the family are maintained. It is this same idea that had been officialized into training such as issues management and crisis management. The issues is that you are keeping in touch with the trends that are happening around you. As an organization, you're in the industry and you don't put your house in order. The problem is that if you don't manage these issues you are seeing, they become knocking on your door as crisis. But one of the things that we need to be clear, this is an undergraduate program. So the details that you may get, for example, at the master's or the graduate level, may be a bit different. But here what we're doing is to expose the student to the rudiments. So you get an exposure into what it means when we talk about issues management, what goes into issues management. You, the public relations, aspiring public relations director, because I don't want to believe, formally we say public relations officer. I mean, that's like the lowest. I don't think I want to study PR as a degree or as a graduate program to become a public relations officer. I want to be a director, a manager. I want to sit at the table and make decisions. But it starts somewhere. It starts with a certain foundation. And that is the foundation we are offering. And you talk about all the politicians, the businesses, and all of that. And I think that what we are offering in these areas, it only alerts our students and give them the basic skills, how they can have an eye for crisis, how they can have an eye for issues. Then you get into the details that may be required, how to manage.
Let me add something short to it. I think reputation crisis, they are very important things. Your reputation is your everything. You must know when to talk, and you must have the message to put across. And these are things we need our students to appreciate right at the training level. There's a saying that the wise man speak because he has something to say, but the fool speaks because he has to say something. Okay, so it's not just about the talk, but what goes into the message, into the talk. And it's very important we let the student, because the world out there is about solving crisis. It's about building and maintaining reputation. But what skill do you attend to these things? And these are issues. And we are very fortunate to have some of the best PR brains in this country to be teaching that course. And I'm sure when anybody avails himself or herself of the opportunity, he or she will never go back the same.
Absolutely.
As we say it.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But I mean, so it's an undergrad.
Yes.
Yes.
Is there a master's?
So a master's is part of the future plans, the
It's part of the
expansion,
future
because we are
plans.
looking at,
Okay.
starting an.
Okay, then I'm jumping ahead of myself. For me, after our first conversation, I thought, so I was going to announce that.
It's a process.
So it's a process. I should calm down.
Okay, so
I think you are
I mean, that's true.
a prophetess.
There you go.
international relations is one of the master's programs that was
Since the last time with print is not yet dead.
I agree with you.
But even the importance of print is that we need to learn the art of writing.
Yeah.
Okay, multimedia, which is in vogue now, you need to write. You need to script. Okay, and so that gives you a very solid foundation. Even PR.
Yes.
Now, if you are a PR director or a manager, you manage a website and you must develop content for the website. The content is not audio. You write. So print is still relevant. Maybe the traditional print we know.
Actually touching it.
Yes, many of them are transforming online.
Right.
But I think for the purposes of training, we need to let the students learn about how it is done.
Right.
Then they can move on from there.
I agree, because we still have some newspapers
Yes.
fully functional.
Yes.
And they still have their place. I dare say that for most of the, TV and radio conversations we have, everything is sourced from the newspapers.
Yes.
Without the newspaper, the conversation doesn't start. Doesn't even start at all. Because the host only picks the newspapers and starts the conversation from the newspapers. So I'm with you. We are almost out of time. It's been, just as informative, as the last time. I love everything that we have said. I just wanted to say something quickly. Oh, it escaped me. There was something you said that I wanted to. Anyway, you'll probably come back to me as the conversation goes on. But all in all, why? I always end with a why. Why should I choose Wisconsin International University? My options are limitless.